Good morning, and welcome to yet another wonderful Sunday in this beautiful series where I'm sharing with you some of my thoughts here from our Drew Centre in Snowdonia. And today I wanted to explore with you something of my favourite things. So the other day I was watching The Sound of Music for the first time in absolutely ages. And The Sound of Music, as many of you know, is one of those sing-along feel-good movies that particularly comes out around Christmas time usually. And I was watching this movie just because I just felt like I needed something uplifting. And there I was singing along to my favourite things, as one does. And it got me really thinking, what are my favourite things? And you know, if you want to, you can type them in the chat and I'll have a little read later. You know, literally, what are some of your favourite things? Are they brown paper packages tied up with string? Are they girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes? Or wild geese with moon on their wings? You know, what is it that really touches your heart? And it really struck me because yesterday when we had a stunning day here, and after quite a busy week, I decided to go up the mountains. And just behind the lodge at the Drew Centre is the range of the Carnethai Mountains, which are still part of Snowdonia, but they are the most beautiful mountains once you get up in above the valley where we are into this beautiful expansive space. And there I was, and trumping across quite hard work, I must confess. And you can only do it at this time of year because it's so marshy up there. And it was just stunning to have the skylarks around. And in that moment, I thought, oh, I feel like Julie Andrews on top of that mountain, singing my heart out with the sound of music. The hills are alive. And in that moment, I could have literally just twirled around and imagined that there's a drone kind of following me around as I was like, yeah, this is it. And it was that simple joy of having stepped out of my comfort zone to climb a mountain to start with. A very hot day, as you can probably tell from my skin, it's just a little bit flushed today, so I have a nice warm glow. But in addition to that, it was the sense of accomplishment and the joy of the moment, the joy of the light and the joy of the skylarks. And I just felt like this is the moment to enjoy. This is one of those beautiful, simple things that I just wanted to experience and sink into in that moment. And I'm sure for each one of us, it's going to be a different thing. But for me, nature is one of those most powerful things that enables us to connect with that sense of innate joy. And it's the little things like the taste of, you know, your favourite cup of tea, or watching a flower unfold in your garden over several days, or up here in the mountains at the moment, the ferns are just all uncurling. They're all tight, beautiful balls, and then they just uncurl into the most extraordinary fronds. And that for me is those simple joys. Now, what we have to watch out for is that it's also the little things that are negative in our life that can also compound and compact. And I wanted to tell you a little story about a 400-year-old tree. And if you can imagine, that tree was planted or had self-seeded sometime in the 1600s. And this is a true story. 400-year-old tree. And throughout those 400 years, you could tell it'd been struck by lightning. You could tell that it had had drought. It had had floods, a whole range of different weathers. Obviously, people had come and cut some of the limbs off to use them for firewood and so on. And basically, that beautiful tree had survived all of those years worth of hardships. Some of them were quite big hardships, you could tell from the rings. And then, one day, an army of beetles arrived. And yes, the beetles managed to niggle into those little cracks and crevices, and they literally ate through into the centre of the tree. And within just a very short time, that tree had completely passed away. It died. And it's an interesting analogy because it's actually just those tiny little things that can actually make quite a big difference in our lives. How much are we really accepting the small things of the joys, but also are we recognizing the anger, the irritation, the resentment, the jealousy, all those little things about ourselves or about the people around us that can actually be quite detrimental to our lives as well. So I just wanted to share that this morning as just a little bit of an awareness of the little things, because those little simple things can make a big difference to make us more joyful, to make us more present in the moment, to really expand our horizons and just gently push beyond our comfort zone. But simultaneously, they can also be just increasing our awareness of the little negative things and just pick them up in the moment and go, do I really need to feel angry or irritated right now? Is it just my perception? And maybe it just means that you need to communicate better with the people around you. And particularly whilst we're still in this lockdown phase, whilst we're still with those people in our very closed environment, or maybe we're just getting angry and irritated with ourselves, maybe this is the time to start gently working with those small little things that may or may not be working for us today. And it might be the little habits, it's the way that we do or don't do things, or the fact that we don't have enough willpower or determination that we think that we should have in order to make changes in our lives. And we can get quite angry and irritated with ourselves. So please, why not take that away from today's session? And one of the best ways that I found is actually journaling, just having a small book down by your bedside, and maybe of an evening when you're about to go to sleep, you just write down 3 things that have really touched you today. What are the 3 simple, joyful things that have really made a difference in your life? And maybe you might have also picked up 1 or 2 things that you're like, yeah, I think I need to change that. And this is a process called introspection, where you're just starting to become more observant about your life and starting to make some changes. Now, to complete this morning's session, I have something to read to you, and it's just a piece of writing, and it's by an author called Nikki Banas, and it's somebody that I've only just discovered in my learnings and research within my own exploration of what works for me and what doesn't. So I just wanted to read out this simple things quotation to you, and hopefully this will inspire you as it has inspired me today. Sometimes we get so caught up in life that we forget that we don't always have to be busy. We don't always need to be checking our email or rushing to the next thing. We need to remind ourselves that it's okay and absolutely necessary to slow it all down, to take a break and enjoy nature, to turn off the TV and simply be together, to enjoy a game of cards, to ask our kids what they are wondering about, to call our parents, to watch the sunrise, to enjoy the smell of a burning candle. We must never forget to enjoy the little things, because they are never as little as we think. So thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope that this has provided a little bit of upliftment and inspiration, and may you go forth and sing in a Julie Andrews-esque moment. These are a few of my favourite things today. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you again very soon. Bye for now.